Hi everyone, and welcome to this micro lecture on digital learning environments. So we're going to look at different types of environments to consider. We're going to look at affordances of digital learning environments, and we're going to look at tools and trends to consider when designing digital learning environments. So this will provide some foundation for us to build upon and further explore as the course goes on. But first, I want to ask you a question. Take a moment and think about the last time that you learned something new. Were you talking to somebody? Were you listening to somebody? Were they demonstrating something? Were you there in person? Or were you watching via some digital mediation? Were you writing something? So for me, what immediately comes to mind is I have a temperamental boiler that heats the water in the house. It stops working every now and again. And rather than call out the engineer every time, it stopped working. So I went straight onto YouTube. I found the type of boiler and the video and the description of what was going wrong. And by following the demonstration, I was able to repressure the boiler and get it back working again. So hot water for everyone. So this is a type of really just in time, digitally mediated learning that in years gone by was not possible. So we have access to many opportunities now to learn in different environments. We have a diverse range of access to learning environments, and digital tools, they give us lots of affordances to do that. So they give us opportunities to do that. But there are still some fundamental things to consider, which we're going to touch upon. So first of all, when thinking about types of learning environment, I tend to put them into three broad categories to start with. So we have the formal learning environment, and this is something I think we're all familiar with. So formal school, university, generally curriculum-based learning environment that has some kind of formal reward or recognition at the end, be it a degree or some kind of qualification at the end of a learning experience. Then you have the non-formal. So this could be workplace training, for example, where you're learning some knowledge, information, or a skill that is relevant for your competence in your role, but maybe doesn't carry that certification at the end, that formal recognition. And then you have what I think is a growing area of informal learning environment. So this is where you have identified a want or a need to explore and learn something further, and you have access to a number of options to do that. So you might, as I mentioned, go on to YouTube video-based learning. You might go to forums or podcasts. And it's generally not certified in any way, but it's about self and self-development, and sometimes just curiosity to learn something new. Okay, so I think this is a really interesting area, especially when we start to consider lifelong learners and how, with the world changing so rapidly, our ability to access information, learn, adapt, and apply in many different settings is becoming more and more important. So this area of informal learning environment, I think is going to be a good growth area and something I'd like us to focus on. In reality, a lot of these learning environments overlap. So you might be on your formal curriculum pathway, but then you are kind of interweaving informal and additional learning on that journey. But for the purpose of this course, we're going to try and really differentiate between the three different environments. And beyond the setting of the learning environment, we've also got the time consideration. So at what time is the learning happening? Is it a synchronous environment? So is it a live environment? And we know that this can be, classroom based. It can also be webinar based with the use of digital tools, for example, or it could be an asynchronous environment. Arguably, a 24-hour library could be an asynchronous environment. So you choose when you go and access information. But more commonly, asynchronous environments are, web-based tools and information that gives you access whenever you need it from, different locations. So you don't have to go into a school or a university. You can access via your PC or your phone, for example. So we have learning environments, the setting, thinking about formal, non-formal, informal. And then within each of those settings, there's a consideration about the time of learning, whether it's asynchronous, synchronous, or, as we know, generally a mix of both of these environments too. Okay, so when it comes to formal learning, the digital tool that supports this approach is generally a learning management system. And it sits within a wider ecosystem. So it generally takes student or learner data into it, provides some kind of learning experience that's been crafted or created, usually some kind of assessment tracking in there, and then it pushes that information relating to those students back out to the initial student information system. So it looks from a learner perspective that it is the access point of all learning, but it's generally part of a wider ecosystem. And examples, I'll just move myself out of the way here. Examples that you'll be familiar with are Blackboard, Google Classroom, Moodle, etc. They're all very similar in the features and functionalities. They all offer the opportunity to create content. They all talk about accessibility. They all give opportunities to collaborate and communicate and carry out assessments. The degree in which this is done well is debatable, and often down to how the experiences are designed and crafted within the learning management system too. But they're all very similar. And in relation to non-formal learning environments, again, learning management systems for the more corporate world still do much of the same functionality. The only difference is, instead of student information systems feeding the learning management system, it's participant information and HR systems that are the wider ecosystem that sits around the LMS. So very similar in functionality. When it comes to informal learning environments or digital learning environments, I think this is where it kind of gets interesting. So I think about what I call the former MOOCs. So remember, MOOC stands for Mass Open Online Course. This was the great kind of early 2000s democratization of education, where the likes of Stanford and MIT and UK's Open University set up these platforms with online learning offered through these platforms for free. And this is why I refer to them as former MOOCs, because they're no longer open access. There's usually a cost element, although there is still ways to access some of the content, at least free for a short time. They still provide, good opportunities to learn about, certain types of information, and they have that credibility that generally the content in these platforms has been developed by universities or industry leaders like IBM, for example. And then you've got the rise of what I call the learning experience platform. Thinkific and Kajabi are two examples here. And what these offer is they offer individual experts the opportunity to provide online learning, provide online coaching in an environment that they control, and is fairly reasonable for the educator to create in that environment from a cost point of view, and gives many options for people to access. So these platforms you would use, for example, if you wanted to teach somebody how to play the guitar, you could do some videos on certain different aspects of learning the guitar or the keyboard. And then you could also, within the platform, do some kind of live webinars as well. So that's it's quite a nice option. Then you've got things like Udemy, which is pretty much a huge catalogue of asynchronous online courses, and platforms like Duolingo that we're probably all familiar with, that offers language learning. And I think that the unique aspect here is it's very gamified. It's very kind of mobile first approach. So all of these in combination offer informal learning opportunities. Okay, so the advantages that these digital learning environments offer are mainly around flexibility and accessibility. So you should be able to access information anytime, anywhere. So many people have many different things going on in life. They might have challenges with learning. They might have confidence issues. They might have time challenges. They might have financial restraints that maybe stop them from accessing traditional modalities of learning in a college or university, for example. So these digital learning opportunities give access to a broad range of people. And through presenting information in different ways, video, text, audio, these digital learning environments should offer, different ways to engage and also collaborate with maybe peers or experts that they wouldn't normally have access to. Obviously, wherever that expert is in the world, people can now get access to them. From a corporate point of view, these learning experiences can be easily scaled. If you are somebody like Amazon, for example, it's much more costly to try and train everybody across your global network in person than it is to develop some digital learning content and kind of push it out to every user. But also, I think that one of the great affordances for me, and one of the areas that will develop more, I think, with the development of AI, is the opportunity for personalization. So with the data and analytics that digital learning provides, we can start to offer more personalized journeys and pathways for learners to engage and succeed in those learning experiences. Trends in digital learning range from pedagogical trends like micro-learning. So again, breaking learning down into manageable chunks. Maybe each chunk has a digital badge for recognition. Maybe a series of badges lead to a certification. So there's lots of options around how micro-learning is packaged and stacked and delivered. From the content perspective, video is still a predominant way of delivering. in the digital learning environment, as well as podcasts and audio. And from a hardware perspective, there's constantly in the background been that kind of thought that augmented reality, virtual reality is going to break through into the mainstream. And I've just put that AI brain in the middle there because this is influencing everything in relation to how these digital learning experiences are more quickly and easily designed, developed, and these pathways are kind of created. There's a lot of tools to consider when designing digital learning content and environments. AI is influencing many of these tools and approaches that aim to make production more quick at the moment, but hopefully in the long term we'll start thinking about how these tools can really enhance the learning experience in the digital learning environment, which kind of takes me to the final point of understanding the tools is one thing, understanding the different types of environment is another, but I think one of the key questions we need to consider is, are we just recreating something that could have been delivered in person, or are we using the technology to really transform and modify that experience? So then this is again where the personalization comes in, the data-driven insights, the having a pedagogical approach that is actioned by the technology rather than just having this content creation focus. So that's something we need to think about more. And this SAMR model kind of helps us to consider our designs and how much they are kind of transforming the learning experience rather than just using technology to recreate or have minor enhancements in the content creation. Okay, so in summary, digital learning environments come in many forms and they should offer flexibility, personalization, opportunities to collaborate, and data-driven insights. But we must design these environments with pedagogy in mind. So frameworks that are validated through educational research can help us ensure that technology enriches the learning experience rather than just digitizing old methods. So I hope you found this interesting starter in our journey to understanding digital learning environments.